Yes.
Fermentation.
Okay, fermentation is a great,
Fermentation,
very
I
high
think
in
we
enzymes.
could both, march down the
Yes.
street together saying, ferment your food. Which is a form of cooking.
Yes.
Fermentation is cooking.
Well, before you march off together, I have a question. If then, given that we all agree that it really isn't a raw.
Well, before you
march off together, I have a question. What would you call this way of eating? What would the name be that you would give it?
It's not to ask me, ask her.
Live foods.
Live foods.
Live foods.
Live foods.
Live foods.
In the same way that people are in the right to life movement, right? Mm-hmm. Because they use that word to imply what?
Well, to imply the wrongful death.
To imply wrongful death,
Yeah.
exactly. So I would never call it live food because all food is live. Mm-hmm. All food is live, whether it grows or not. All food is live. What we're talking about here is nutrition. How do we get the nutrition that's locked up inside this plant cell? How do we get it into our cells? Mm-hmm. This is what nutrition is about. Figuring out how to get the nutrients from the food we eat into our bodies. And in fact, everything agrees. We got to find some way to break the cell wall, and breaking the cell wall is cooking. Mm-hmm. Without cooking, no nutrition. All right, so you can cook by freezing, you can cook by dehydrating, you can cook by fermenting, you can cook by your own stomach acid. Hey, stomach acid is really strong at 15. You could go out and drink a quart of orange juice and eat a pepperoni pizza, right?
I don't really particularly like either one. But
Right, but you could have at 15.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, at 15 you could have done that. How many people at 30 can do that? Because digestive fire falls. The further that digestive fire falls, the less we get out of eating raw food. If you're sick, what do you want? An apple or a beautiful bowl of hot steaming apple sauce, which delivers all the vitamins and all the minerals except vitamin C to you. And of the 15 foods highest in vitamin C, 8 of them are cooked foods. Baked potato is near the top of the list. There's more vitamin C in baked potato than a glass of orange juice.
Do I see a question? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a question. I'm in
Speak
between
up
both
so we can
worlds. I find it vital to imbibe food from both the cooked food world, if it's really well-prepared food and not restaurant garbage. And I also find that eating raw foods has been incredibly transformative in how I feel on a daily basis. I mean, my question is this. Why does it have to be one or the other? And when we're talking about cooked foods versus raw foods, what we're generally speaking about is whether the enzymes are intact, or at least that's the way it's described. But we're talking about foods that have not been heated over 110 degrees. And I found it interesting, Susan, in your discovery about the goat, the way they regurgitate the organ that you were talking about, I don't recall the name of it.
Rumen.
The rumen would only heat the food up to 110 degrees. Even in nature, you're finding a place where there's an attempt to preserve that enzyme activity, perhaps, possibly. None of us can really say, I wouldn't take my answer, I won't take yours at this point. There would need to be some research done about that. But my question is, why am I feeling no digestive distress on a raw food diet when I could have eaten organic flower petals picked by virgins in the moonlight on Easter Sunday morning, and it would have given me some kind of digestive problem in the past when I was only partaking in a cooked food world? I mean, I'm just curious as to, all the experts in the world really don't mean that much to me. I appreciate your expertise, I appreciate Brigitte's expertise, but really the expertise that I'm genuinely interested in is my own experience. And what I'm finding is that if I eat a majority of raw foods, I have no digestive problems. I can go and eat decently prepared, high quality, the type of thing that I would eat in your place if I came there, and it's not going to give me a problem unless I do it for a week at a time. Then I notice my digestion starting to slow down, I notice everything starting to back up again. So at any rate, both of you could address that. I'm finding that things move through me a lot better and I feel a lot better if I do both.
That might be our concluding statement. This is brilliant.
I have a comment. And that just has to do with the enjoyment of food. I appreciated what he said about some of both and the value of different ways of eating. When I think of eating only food prepared as you're speaking, Brigitte, I just get this feeling in my body that just goes, no, I need that concentrated food. I just know that's what I need. I feel better with that. So I think there's something about, knowing how, it makes sense to me when I just look at it scientifically. What do you get the most nutrition out of? It makes sense when I translate that feeling into my body. But there's also something about enjoying food prepared in different ways with different people. And what's been a real concern to me is people who will only eat one way and then limit the way they interact with other people socially, because there's very much a social component around eating. And if I were only to eat one thing or another thing or not this and that, there's that whole energy of denial, what's the word? Denial of self by saying, I can't eat this because it's cooked. That then is very repressive to me, feels very repressive. There's also something to me about, I love stirring that pot of soup. And the aroma that comes up, that is not minerals that comes up, that is aromatic oils. To me, that is therapeutic. The smell of cooked food and cooking food, stirring the pot, an ancient, ancient healing process in itself. And there's something about cooking the food, and as you talk about preparing it, certainly your enjoyment of that, being with food, playing with food, whatever you're doing with it, I find that to be therapeutic. That the process of whatever it is you do with food, however you cook it or prepare, that being therapeutic in itself.
Thank you.
And sharing it with food.
We have just a little less than a minute left. I'm not ready to be finished, but we have to be. I was hoping that each of you could just offer a few words, literally just a few words, maybe even one word, that what in your deepest desire you hope to impart to us all today. What is your wish that you'd like to send out?
I think the most important thing is to bless your food and honor it and love the process of preparing food, however you do it.
Susan,
I think
one
the
word.
most important thing for us all to remember is that human beings are not designed to think about what they eat.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you all. Yay. Hey, we did it.